Solid Snake's inclusion in Smash Bros. Was probably the biggest surprise in all Smash history. It was the first third-party character to ever be announced. His addition is one of miracles. If we're being totally honest here, Solid Snake should have never made it into Smash. Not only did Hideo Kojima have to beg Sakurai, Konami had to approve it. These days, due to bad blood between the famed developer and his former company, this feat is damn near impossible to accomplish. But even with Fire Emblem characters like Marth and Roy standing side by side with characters like Pikachu and Mr. Game & Watch, Solid Snake still managed to stick out like a sore thumb. The biggest loss behind cutting any character from a series is that you'll never be able to play that exact style ever again. And you have to admit, Snake's fighting style was a unique one. Also unique is Konami's place in video game history. Not only did it dominate the arcade scene in the 80s and 90s, they released some of the most famous Nintendo titles of all time like Castlevania and Contra. If we're going strictly by their tentpole title, then Contra is definitely the series that should be represented in Smash Bros. The biggest problem is that Contra's characters mostly use real-life weaponry, not unlike Snake, and the protagonist is unrecognizable when compared to any other gun-wielding action game hero. A more recognizable character with more essential Nintendo history would actually be Simon Belmont. Not only did most Castlevania games appear on Nintendo systems, the character played a starring role in the Captain N and the Game Master series, a precursor to Smash Bros. Where Link, Zelda, Mega Man, and Pit first crossed over, as well as characters from Punch-Out and Metroid. But arguably the character that fits in the most with Smash Bros. Has to be Bomberman. Bomberman's cartoony style blends well with most of the entire roster. Bomberman has already even crossed over with Nintendo properties. He co-starred in the Hudson Soft developed game called Wario Blast for the Game Boy. With Mario, Sonic, Mega Man, Pac-Man, and Bomberman all in a single game, Smash Bros. Will reflect the companies that ruled the 80s and 90s. Bomberman had games on just about every Nintendo console, originally developed by Hudson Soft and later bought by Konami. Bomberman could also take over Solid Snake's explosive-centric moveset, something that no other character could. Bomberman has had some fighting game experience also, with his appearance in DreamMix TV World Fighters, which also featured Solid Snake as a playable character. When compared to a typical Smash character though, both of their movesets were incredibly limited. Solid Snake's neutral special could easily be replaced with Bomberman tossing a bomb. Solid Snake's down special could now become Bomberman's remote detonated bombs. His up special can now be Bomberman kicking up a bomb. Snake's ridiculous air recovery parachute could easily be replaced by Bomberman's jetpack. Snake's down smash, bazooka attack, can now be Bomberman holding down a bomb. Being that Solid Snake's return is close to impossible, having Bomberman taking over Solid Snake's moveset allows for Solid Snake's legacy to live on in some way, as well as have Konami being properly and rightfully represented in the game. Another big plus is that Bomberman taking over Snake's moveset also saves time and effort from having to design an entire moveset. If we can't have Solid Snake back, then I implore Sakurai to consider Bomberman, a true Konami mascot that could easily take over Snake's explosive fighting style. While making this video, a prevalent rumored leak has made its rounds online. It purports that Simon Belmont has indeed succeeded as Konami's representative in Smash. I honestly would not mind having him in the game, but I would still like Bomberman for all the reasons in this video. If Capcom were to get Ryu and Mega Man, then there's no specific limit to how many third-party representatives are allowed to participate per company.